Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be covering a video I've been meaning to for a while for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and that is a tier list for absolutely every single character within the game. So this tier list, of course, is going to be pretty opinionated. This is after 250 hours within the game, 100% of which is on very hard mode. I actually have yet to play on a different difficulty, so this is geared a little bit more towards the harder difficulties, though it should still be applicable for most difficulties within the game. Do keep in mind, very obviously, given that this is a video going over every single character in the game, this video obviously contains spoilers for every single character in the game. So if you're still trying to avoid spoilers in that regard, you probably want to come back to this video at a later time, as in about 10 seconds from now, we will be showing a tier list with every single character on it, and obviously that will show every single character. So let's go bring that up right now. So here's the full tier list that we're going to be going over that I ended up making up. Of course, we're going to be starting from top to bottom, so we're going to be starting all the way at S++, and working our way down the list, and we'll bring up the list every single time once we go down to a different letter. So obviously we'll start with Impa and work our way down. So let's go and start with it. Do keep in mind, I will briefly be going over like the playstyle of every single character. However, obviously this is not meant to be a guide on every single character. It's very, very briefly going to mention like maybe their best combo or what they're kind of used for and stuff along those lines. It's not really going to go too in depth into most of them, so do be mindful of that. Otherwise we will be here for literal hours. Anyways, let's go and get into it. Obviously, we will be starting with Impa, which as far as build tends to work pretty good into strongest build in the game, attack speed into damage per 100 KOs. We did a video the other day going over the best seals in the game, at least in my opinion, and that's probably the strongest combo there is, and Impa uses it very, very nicely among everything else that she does flawlessly. So one of her main gimmicks, of course, is her spirit thing. One nice thing she could do is throw down 2 spirits, throw down special, and then she gains all 3 of them very quickly. And you can then just go and stasis your enemy, which is currently dead, but you can then go and stasis your enemy, pretend he's stunned. He's going to die anyways, probably. Lock onto them, just spam your Y. I find it better to do 4 Ys and then cancel out of it. It seems to get a little bit more damage that way. But yeah, you can basically just do that and absolutely decimate. She does have a little bit of a teleport break that she can do too. So if you do an X and then kind of cancel out of it, you can kind of get a little bit of a movement momentum in that regard. If I would stop not dashing, but it's a little bit of another thing that she has. Also, if you find it in like early game and you just need like a method to get these symbols, one really easy way to do it is throw 3 symbols down, Y, Y, Y. As soon as those things come up, click X, and then boom, you have yourself 3 and you're good to go. And then you just stasis them, cancel out your stasis with B, and just win. And that's really all you have to do. Her special does more damage whenever you have more spirits, and it just absolutely decimates. Strongest character in the game. Definitely try her if you haven't been. She's broken beyond belief. We'll have a guide on her eventually. But anyways, on to the next character. So, obviously, next up, we got Link, Rivali, and Mifa in tier S. So let's, of course, start over with Link. So let's go and switch over our character. So, Link. Obviously, Sword Link specifically, we will be breaking it down based on weapon. Link basically has 2 main swords that he'd use. There are a few others potentially, but 2 main ones, Master Sword and Royal Broadsword. Royal Broadsword has the highest attack speed of any of the swords that he could possibly use that are viable, which is really good as the attack speed is the best modifier in the game. He also gets auto critical here, so he gets to do even more damage. Not sure about how much that ends up increasing it by, but more damage is better than not more damage. And aside from that, of course, his Master Sword has those little wind waves. It does more to like those blighted enemies things, like those little hollows and stuff like that. So it's situationally somewhat better, but more often than not, you do end up going for the Royal Broadsword, especially if you can find one at a base 71 or higher. I believe it can go to like 74 or 75 with Rusted. I have yet to find one. This is a base 71, but regardless, as you can see, even at 71, it is a much higher base value than that of Master Sword, so do be mindful of that, but we'll just show it with Master Sword for now. But anyways, as far as Link, obviously, he has probably the most ways in the entire game to expose weakness point gauge. He has this little shield, which you can end up clicking with Y. If I could not get hit, that'd be great. But he has his arrows. He could just do that, throw stasis down, and then do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold X, and then go into an infinite stun combo. That infinite stuns almost every character in the game. And he also has a pretty nice other combo where he can do 4 Ys into an X into 3 Ys into his arrows, which might actually overkill this enemy. Let's see if we can get 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that. 1, 2, 3. Arrow him, and you can even throw a stasis probably in time, and then just do even more damage. And I did it slightly wrong. It was going to go into infinite stun, but it won't really matter. He's dead anyways. Or not. Here, have a dead. Have a dead. But anyways, obviously Link, very well rounded, can do pretty much everything. Really great for exposing weakness gauge. Just pretty much the best all around character, and definitely worth using. And obviously he's like the main character, so obviously he'd be pretty decent at the game. But yeah, it is Link. Anyways, Rivali. Rivali might be a weird one. Some people might not think he's S tier. I personally do. He gets a lot of value out of attack range. He also gets a lot of value out of mid-air attack damage. This is a really high modifier in this game, and if it wasn't for this modifier, he'd probably be a bit lower down. Same as Tiba. However, due to this modifier, both of them basically can perpetually stay in the air, so this is very, very beneficial for their playstyle since, well, they're pretty much always in the air. So he basically has two kinds of flights, where he's in like max flight after he does his thing, and his lower flight when he's going and doing the rest of it. He can do X into B to very quickly maneuver, which ends up making it a little bit easier. He can also X and kind of do a teleport, kind of like Impa. If you do it correctly, you can kind of get a teleport a little bit. It's a little bit inconsistent, but you can kind of move yourself a little bit for extra momentum. Your movement is a little bit different when you're locked on as well, so you can end up aiming a little bit better compared to if you weren't locked on and you try like making a circle. It kind of gets stuck a little bit, which allows you to aim a little bit better, but also is kind of annoying. However, you could just do the X to B and oops, I slightly messed that up. But you could do X to B and then just kind of move around like that. He also has a really weird glitch / mechanic where he can 1, 2, 3, 4 do this and then slide and then do a super slide. It's very fun. It's the quickest momentum boost in the game. However, I think it's technically a glitch, though I kind of want to think it's a feature because it is so ridiculously fun to do. He also has one of the best stasis in the game. If you do his stasis and then cancel out of it after he does the arrow, he gets all the damage for the arrows and then still gets to get the full duration of the stasis, which is very powerful. And yeah, it's really great. It has a lot of movement options and generally just stays in the air. One other really fun thing that you can end up doing with Revali, which is good against some enemies in the game, is you throw down Cryonis. You then go and do a backflip and then do a full height fly. You then target on and then click Y, and you can actually end up hitting through your block. So I did that slightly wrong. I think we have to be facing him directly. So let's just go do this. We're not going to counter you, no. We have different plans, so we'll do this. If you could stop, then we can get some flight, and then you can actually hit over top of your ice little things, which is kind of cool. And he also has a stun when his 5Y into X, which most things do, though. But he gets a lot of area damage. It's mostly used for crowd control and taking posts, and it's just really good for doing so. Anyways, next character, we got Mifa. Mifa, I was originally going to put a little bit lower down the tier list. However, she similarly actually gets a lot of damage output from this mid-air attack damage kind of thing. She also has probably one of the best specials, actually the best special in the game, because it actually heals. We can't really show that here though, but it actually heals not only herself but nearby allies. So whenever she does this and uses A, this will heal everyone near yourself, as well as yourself. So if you have like all your allies following you, you can literally just like full heal all of them or any that are nearby, which is obviously pretty useful, especially on very hard and other similar hard difficulties if they ever add a master mode. She also has a lot of really fun combos, and while I'm not too experienced with her, she does have a lot of like mid-air kind of creative things that you could do. It's definitely a good first pick. Like if you want to pick like a character to start off with to play it like really safe, she has a lot of really good options. And as you get better at her, she has even more. And there's just a lot of weird shenanigans that you can end up doing with her water movement, and it's a lot of fun. And she can basically water dive into like every single one of her moves. But she can stay in the air for pretty long duration, and she just builds up her special. One other thing that's pretty nice, actually, if I could expose your weakness gauge real quick, that would be great. Actually, you know what, I'm just gonna special you. But if we expose his weak point gauge, one thing that she can actually do as well is, oh gosh, I just overkilled him. But one other thing that she could do as well is she actually builds up quite a bit of her special just from hitting away the weak point. So if you could do something where we could counter you, that'd be great. Sure, stasis, why not? So she can cancel out of her stasis. Any character that can do that, obviously very good. So let me just break his weak point. As you'll see here, I'll just let a couple of them spawn. If they would respawn, that'd be great. Okay, we're just going to go for it. But anything nearby ends up getting hit and builds up her special. So anything that gets hit within that will end up building up her special bar. And she gets a pretty good special build rate. It's not as good as Impa's, but still pretty good. And the fact that she can heal herself and allies around her ends up being pretty beneficial and basically makes her the best and one of the only few support type characters within the game. Also, would you like to not dive over here? But anyways, let's go into the next set of characters. So we're going down now to A tier. So everything here is still very good to be using as a main. Pretty much everything B tier and above, I'd probably say, could potentially be used as a main, depending on how you play it. But anyways, we're on A tier right now, so next into Tiba. So everything here still very solid. Also all pretty close to being an S tier. Almost felt like making an A plus tier, but like Tiba's definitely one of those that kind of almost fits there. He has a lot of damage that can end up building up. Same kind of premise as Revali, and somewhat on Mifa, but Revali and Tiba uses it, of course, a little bit better, and that's the fact that they're pretty much always in flight, able to get additional damage. So one thing that you can end up doing with this, he has two really good moves, and one that he could always be doing. He can do a charge, so he can constantly do this through all of his moves. We're currently doing a 3Y into X, which basically sweeps everything up. This entire time, during pretty much everything he does, you can actually charge up his ability here. So what this will do is do a really big hit and then rain down arrows. This helps clear out an area for quite a duration, and you can go right back into charging it. He can charge through shield, however, he can't hit out of shield. This is relevant for one character that we're going to be showing soon, Terraco, which does it slightly different. They're one of two characters that have like this whole charge thing that they can do. But anyways, let's do 5Y into X, which is probably his overall best. For 5, I think that was 5. If you could not cancel it, that'd be great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and okay. And anyways, get to barrage it. And you just keep getting a hit on it. One thing to keep in mind about this too. Wait, where'd he go? I was not hitting him. I thought that was him for a second. But one thing to keep in mind about that too is he does actually have max. He does actually have max height. Like when Rivali ends up taking off and having max flight for some amount of his duration, and he can end up using this pretty well in order to basically stay away from enemy attacks. So overall, pretty solid kit he has. Definitely worth using. A little bit annoying to have to constantly keep hitting down the ZR though, but overall kind of worth it for how much value he gets out of it, as it's pretty much just free damage they could just cast whenever. Anyways, next up on our list we got Sidon. Sidon might actually be S tier, however I don't have attack speed built onto him yet. But I believe with 4 attack speed plus, he might actually be S tier, because I think he might be able to get an infinite stun. His main gimmick, or at least one of his most fun one, actually I might overkill him here. Let me go with a slightly weaker weapon, because this do quite a bit of damage. Let's go this. But anyways, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then keep hitting ZR. He has super armor through that. And, oops, I did that slightly wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now he gets to do it. Oh, sorry, I did the wrong again. Well, try this one more time. Okay, let's just kill him out. My bad, I keep doing his 4. Let's go try this again. So, if we do 5 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then keep clicking a ZR, he gets so much shield break out of it. And it's actually pretty insane how much he ends up getting overall. And then he can end up just killing out. If we had a slightly better weapon here, obviously it would shield break. We're just using a weaker one just so we wouldn't overkill him. And we're good to go. One other really good mechanic he has, which also makes him almost S-tierish, is he can actually juggle pretty much indefinitely. They do eventually go away, but you can basically juggle. Use your thing to ZR to make them come to you, and then keep juggling them and build up special, and then keep juggling them and build up special. They do eventually fade away, of course, even if you juggle infinitely, but it's a great way to build up special pretty effectively, which makes him a very solid option. I also kind of like his 3Y into X thing, and then he gets his like shark thing and move forward. It's a really timing-based character, which can make him a little bit more annoying to use, which is probably why he's overall not S tier, but if you get an infinite stun lock at some point, that would be pretty strong. But anyways, on to the next character. We got ourselves two-handed Link. So as far as two-handeds, personally not a fan of two-handed, however, it's the best build in the game for going under 30% hearts. Basically what you can end up doing with this is constantly shuffling your HP basically back and forth over and over and over again, since you can lower down your HP at any point. One of his two best options, or oddly enough, his dash. Oh, he also has like a slowdown thing, which ends up triggering there. It makes it a little bit easier to dodge and stuff, but he has this whole thing where he basically just does his X dash, and it's surprisingly quick. Compared to his main combo, which is relatively slow, which is 5Y to X, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you just do a bunch of flashes over and over and over again. Does a lot of damage. And there we go. And it just breaks them, and it just kill it out, and then boom. And generally you would get all the way under 30% hearts, and one thing that you can do with that is whenever you use your special or click X, you will heal, so you can basically keep shuffling your white hearts around and constantly keep staying above like a 1 heart area, because as long as you have at least 1 heart, you will always survive with at least 1/4 a heart when you take a hit, and you can basically keep shuffling your HP over and over again in order to like never die, while constantly getting 30% additional damage for being under 30% hearts, or getting a bunch of damage from being under 30% hearts. And that's pretty much all you have to do with that. Works out pretty good. Somewhat similar to that, another two-handed, we got ourselves the King. King has a pretty nice combo chain, in that he can actually add to his combo chain by changing guys, and it ends up increasing his damage output once you get to post-game. So we can do with this. I'm just going to stun lock him real quick just so we can get this a little bit more consistent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you change your guys with the ZR, and then he ends up not only getting a stun, but he also ends up getting a bunch of damage. Actually, I probably should have done it without it, because it does actually have a hit stun, which is really good. It has to start from sword, though. So you do have to make sure you switch into sword if you're not already. So you want to be a sword. You want to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has hit stun, as you'll see right here. It has the break. and then you just completely break your enemy, and then you have additional damage. You just go for a burst, boom. And whenever he has like that red aura thing, he has additional damage. You get that from whenever you change guys. I believe you can get it even from smaller ones, so you can kind of just do a quick combo like this and end up having oh wait, it doesn't do it for that. Well, I normally do the bigger two, but yeah, it seems like it doesn't do it for every combo, but as long as you do it for the bigger combos, he does have like that red aura, and during that duration he actually has higher damage. How much so, I'm not sure, but it's definitely noticeable that it is higher. And yeah, works out pretty good. He also gets to get rid of smaller enemies pretty well with this little KO thingy, and he has a pretty wide range for his size considering. So overall, pretty solid. Has a lot of shield break potential and a lot of burst damage that he can kind of bring out of nowhere. Anyways, next character on our list, Terraco. So Terraco, main gimmick with this guy is he has the smallest hitbox in the game. This is very beneficial. One other thing that it can do, which is unique only to Terraco, I was kind of mentioning that charging mechanic when I was mentioning Tiba. However, one thing that this guy can do is, obviously he can shield. However, one thing that he can do is he can fire while he is shielding. So this is unique only to Terraco. I'm pretty sure there's not a single other character that has anything even remotely like this, where it can attack while shielding. We are currently shielding. Like if he attacks us right now, he will end up hitting us on his shield. Yet we are constantly attacking him with like no way to actually get hit. And all we have to do is keep doing this, and we can just wait till his weakness point gauge comes up, and we can literally just hold this, wait till he goes into weakness, throw stasis on him, and pretty much be good to go. And you can just keep poking it. Obviously this is a bit of a cheesy method to kind of do it, but you can just go and just kill it out, throw a big burst at it, kill everything else around, and just kill it, boom. And yeah, that's pretty much Terraco in a nutshell. Shield crazy. It has another benefit to go with the shielding too. Not only does it get the lock on target, but he also has the damage reflected when guarding. So yeah, it's actually not that bad at all. Terraco definitely worth considering. Anyways, next one is Zelda with bow. So as far as Zelda with bow, main gimmick with her is she actually has the longest stun in the game, or as far as how long its range is. So this, I actually just want to kill him real quick so I can show this. I want him to be dead so I can go back up a little bit and go show this. I want to get all the way back to the doorway. If I can figure out where the doorway is. Okay, it's over here. So hopefully he doesn't aggro me as I go over here, because I want to show like how ridiculous this thing's range is. Okay, it doesn't look like he's aggroing me, so that's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully this hits. I think it should. And look, that hit all the way from there. You then do stasis. You then go and Y spam, and then boom, it breaks them. And then you move forward. You click X, they're dead. It might not kill them, but at least that's a ridiculously high amount of burst damage. And it's basically her whole gimmick is she can go and stun them from 1.5 miles away with 5Y into X, and then yeah, you're pretty much good to go. You do that. She actually has a stasis finisher, which is kind of weird. Every other character pretty much has a stasis where you start with it, not end with it, because you can cancel out of it on most characters. However, she does the exact inverse, where she kind of finishes with it. Aside from that, she can also do that burst at any time by doing her light thing, and then going into ZLY. Which has the same range as the other thing. However, it doesn't have hit stun. You can also do the same thing with X, and it does a lot more focused single target damage. And then boom, just kill it out, and you're good to go. Also, for whatever reason, her B dodge actually does damage as well. She actually has a lot of stuff to kind of protect her from smaller units. Not only does she have super armor basically while she is in this form, so she can't be flinched. You can also have the resistance that she has. So on her Bow of Light, she has two really good mechanics. One is she gets to heal, and the other is that she has resistance to all stats effects. So one really weird thing that you can do with this, if you want to, is just tank right in front of a enemy. Just basically spam a bunch of damage at them, and you can essentially just wait until they hit you. And it won't even matter, because as long as you heal back up above 1/4 a heart by doing enough damage, you will go and have a whole nother leeway of damage, and you're pretty much going to be good to go. But yeah, she's a really weird character. She's basically a standard bow character. You want to stand very far away and kind of just bow them to death. That is basically her premise. And I believe that is the end of A tier. So let's go move down now to B tier. So as far as B tier is concerned, we got ourselves, all these here are starting to get a little bit less viable. However, they're definitely still usable if you want to kind of main them. They're also starting to get a little bit more to support options. Some of those aren't supports, but like a Brosa kind of isn't her spear, but they're a bit more situational than everything that we've had above so far in the tier list. But anyways, with that being said, let's go start right into Riju then. So if we go over to Riju, main gimmick with Riju, and the main thing that you want to do with her is she moves very quick. If you want to move from point A to point B very quickly, that is what you want to do. Not counting the kind of weird glitch that Rivali has. This is pretty much the best, most consistent movement in the game. She also has X spam, which works really good. One thing that you can do with this is basically confuse the enemy, because they don't know exactly where your hitbox is. So so they'll try hitting you all over the place and keep missing. As you saw, he tried attacking us. He had no clue where we were because our hitbox is just going all over the place. And as you saw, he had basically no chance to even try to attempt to hit us because our hitbox is constantly spinning. If you look at the mini-map in the bottom right, I'll go enlarge it. You can see our character is actually not where the walrus thing is. It is actually where the spinny is, the Riju. So our hitbox is just moving all over the place constantly, which is really funny. It's kind of like Tiba's 3Y into X, except she can start it from nothing, whereas obviously Tiba has to do a 3Y to X to get it started. All you have to do with this is just keep spamming X and you're good to go. Also, generally, as she's moving from point A to point B, you're going to build up special. So all you really have to do is just basically cast her special twice, once to clear out the area and once again to clear out the little mini-boss, and you're pretty much already good to go. So really good, similar to Revali for taking out camps if you want to get there at a slightly quicker speed by using her as your active character, or someone like Revali you might auto-send to the area to go and get there. Anyways, next character, probably one of the more underlucked characters, especially once you get Bow of Light and other things. People tend to just completely drop the Sheikah Slate. However, this is pretty much the other support option in the game. Mifa is one of them. The other one, of course, is Zelda. One thing that you can do with this is Sheikah Slate counter without actually needing your Sheikah runes. So actually, I don't think you can do that with that one. But with most of the other ones, you can do bomb counter, you can do Cryonis counter, you can do stasis counter. So it has quite a few options that you can end up doing. She can end up building, probably is the best magnesis in the game. She can actually end up holding this magnesis and just kind of using it for a while. And then when you want to later, you can just burst it out and then go straight into another rune and pretty much be good to go. Pretty nice. You can cancel out of that bomb as well. One other nice property about that bomb, which is probably one of the main reasons you would actually use Zelda, other than to, or Zelda with Sheikah Slate, other than to counter things without needing your Sheikah Slate cooldown, is there's a really weird property with the bomb that you notice he's trying to aggro us right now, and he's about to come to us and start attacking us. However, do you want to start attacking us? Whatever. Okay, there. But you'll notice as soon as we bomb, he's going to actually completely lose interest in trying to attack us. He's kind of just standing there as if we don't even exist. He's not doing his stance. He's not moving back and forth. He's just kind of like not doing anything. And now he realized we're here. So basically, whenever you do the bomb, the enemy kind of just forgets you even exist. And as you can see, he's kind of just going to run away and go back to his standard position. And yeah, they kind of just forget you exist when you do bomb. So if you want to remove your aggro, just put like a Zelda on your main character and then throw a bomb down, and they will completely drop aggro off you. It is pretty hilarious. So a kind of weird strategy you can end up doing with it. But yeah, she has a lot of really weird moves and synergies that she can end up doing. Definitely good to get creative with it. And also this, we can just stun him. You notice we didn't use our Slate at all. And then if we really wanted to, we can Slate or switch into a different character. They're ready to do Slate and all that good stuff. And you just cancel out the thing with B and boom. But yeah, she's actually surprisingly decent. She has a lot of weird gimmicks that are almost like Revali, where they're almost glitches in a way. I'm not really sure, but they're creative mechanics, if nothing else. Anyways, Urbosa. So Urbosa has a bit of a weird build in that she can actually go like almost entirely into just hard hits as far as what she does. So she has 3 main attacks I would say are mainly worth using. One thing to note too, she does have shield, so that's relevant. But her main 3 attacks are X and just holding X. So if you do this and get a strong hit and then charge, you could basically do a strong hit, charge, charge. Oh, I messed that one up. But charge, do that, dodge, do that quickly, dodge, boom, dodge, dead. And you can kind of do stuff like that. She also regains 4 meters of her lightning whenever she breaks barrier or whenever she breaks or does her special. So you can end up doing that. She does have shields, so you can parry and stuff like that, which is pretty nice, like Link can do. And she has 2 other things that are pretty decent, so we can stasis, cancel out of it. 1, 2, and then do XXX over and over and over again. This does quite a bit of damage. If you want to just get rid of her lightning and do a bunch of damage with it, you can do that. The other one that is pretty decent is her 5Y, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you kind of dash all over the place and then do a bunch of lightning. However, where it puts you is sometimes weird. Like right there, we didn't exactly get the hitbox correctly, but overall, he still ended up dying. But yeah, it's pretty much Urbosa. Not too bad. It got a lot of lightning management, especially on very hard mode, though, because you don't get as many shield breaks and stuff like that, so it can be a little bit harder to manage her lightning. So do be mindful of that when playing on a harder difficulty. Though on lower difficulties, I'm pretty sure she has more lightning than you could ever possibly use, even if you spam the other thing. Anyways, let's go move over to Spear. So as far as Spear is concerned, Spear has a lot of movement. Mifa's obviously the better option if you kind of want to go something with Spear, but he has quite a few fun gimmicks. You can charge with X and kind of do a bunch of little wavy things, and then do like a little tornado at the end. He has a lot of mobility. You can kind of do ZR and just go all over the place. He has like this dash thing when you do 5Y to X. He has like this hold thing where you can just like hold and then just get a barrage of attacks onto an enemy. He has a really cool looking special. But overall, it's kind of really flashy, but doesn't feel like it gets a big impact most of the time. So it is still a very effective kit. And if nothing else, if you want to have really high mobility, it definitely has really high mobility. It feels like even though it does have some horizontal mobility, it does seem to be mostly grounded as far as its mobility compared to something like what's her name, which has mostly Mifa. Has mostly aerial-based ones. This tends to be a lot more grounded. So if you're looking for more of like a ground-based spear, you could consider Link instead of Mifa, though if you want to go spear build, Mifa does seem to be the way to go, more cases than not. Anyways, last thing in A tier is actually Calamity Ganon. I was kind of skeptical on if I should put him into A tier or not, but basically his whole gimmick is that he has, will actually take a little time to actually show this gimmick, but basically if we just keep spamming Ys, he'll keep making Malice, and we then absorb that Malice with ZR. And basically, once you get to his Malice state, you kind of want to keep him into this Malice state, and you can do this by breaking the enemy very, very quickly. So we're just going to build up a bunch of Malice real quick. Two other things that build up Malice is also whenever you shield break, as well as whenever you go and use a special. So those two can also do it. However, he has a really long animation for that. So it's actually, I believe, a bit quicker real-time wise to spam Y as far as getting this up. But once he gets his full meter, every single thing he does breaks shield. Like it breaks right through. So basically the main premise that you want to do with Calamity Ganon is you want to like basically build up meter. You can do this before a really big boss fight or a battle you're not quite sure you're going to win. And basically you build up right before you have full meter, which I believe is right here. Oh no, we end up getting it. Oh no, we didn't. Okay, good. So now we go and just get a little bit more, and then we can just go crazy. So right here, we're going to lock onto him. We're going to absorb this, and as you'll see, every single thing we do will end up breaking him. And then we go straight for the break as far as fully breaking him, get the shield break, and then boom, it ends. It gives us a little bit more. And basically, you just get super quick kills that way. You then reset, do the kind of same thing again, and pretty much be good to go. You go and absorb, you get your thing, ideally get into the form, go and break him as quickly as you can. Let's see, get our thing. And then we just go and, can you not knock me down while we're in the form? That'd be great. And then you just go break very quickly, boom, and you just keep resetting that over and over again. And ideally, you want to waste as little of that meter as possible. It's kind of like Urbosa in a way, where you have to keep the meter up, except it's even harder to manage his meter compared to Urbosa. But yeah, he does have potential. A little bit of a big hitbox though, so you do have to be wary of that. But overall, has some pretty decent damage output, and you can kind of build him up before you do in a boss battle. It might be a little bit slow to do so. However, he's a really safe option up against bigger bosses due to that. And yeah, it's an okay option. I feel like he might have some potential. But overall, he does seem a little sluggish, so of course, attack speed build might fix that, like everything does. Anyways, next we're going to be moving down to C tier. So we're getting to a point where these characters are kind of questionable on if you would be using them. Basically, everything here fourth. They can still be usable. Even Master Koga, I almost felt like putting into B tier. However, the fact that he can stun lock himself is pretty bad, even though you can kind of prevent it most of the time. Anyways, let's start getting into the C tier characters. So let's go into Master Koga first. So as far as Master Koga is concerned, he has basically one really big gimmick that he likes to use, or at least I feel like he likes to use, that I find to be most effective. So 1, 2, 3, and then X spam like crazy. So this will basically go and get him a bunch of stress, which is actually a good thing. You then go and stress him all the way up, and then you go and basically build up your laser, and then you fire your laser, and then they die. That's basically his whole premise. And then you go and hit him. A little bit like Calamity Ganon, that you'd want to build up that gauge before getting into a big fight if you really want to, though it doesn't take too long to do it while you're in a fight, and that's pretty much all you have to do. You just do that, boom, 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 build up your laser. This can end up hitting nearby enemies if there was any. You can end up eating a banana with X if you feel like your stress is going to go too high. But generally, you can just do that combo, get it down, get a nice big hit on the area. It does have a pretty long range as well, though not that wide. And then you just go do that, boom, break, dead. That's basically his whole premise, and mainly the only thing you'd really be doing gimmick-wise with him. He does obviously have other moves, though that seems to be like his most potent combo. As far as viable things. He also has one of the worst stasises in the entire game, which alone is like F tier level stasis. You can't cancel out of this, and it does barely anything, and it just gives him a bunch of stress, which with the other thing being so much more consistent, just never worth doing. But yeah, anything with a bad stasis generally is bad, because stasis is just so ridiculously good. Anyways, let's go over Monk. So Monk, pretty noteworthy in that he actually gets attack speed when he on his 25th perk on his weapon once you get to level 25 as his 5th perk, so that's pretty useful. It's the only character in the game where its main weapon actually gets attack speed ++, other than I guess maybe Link's sword, that one of them. But as far as like the core primary weapon, he ends up getting it. He has a lot of really weird gimmick. He has a lot of zoning kind of tools, so he can end up making a bunch of shadows by doing B. Kind of like Zelda's thing, except he doesn't need to worry about meter constantly going down because Zelda breaks special meter while doing that. Main thing that you generally want to do with him is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll stasis him real quick. Stop. I want to go do something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think. Yeah, that seems about right. So you get all those little ball things. They then explode and they kind of go crazy. You can then go and do a bunch of hammers into all of his other moves, and he creates a lot of structures, all of which you can end up killing with your hammer. Did I just cancel my balls? I just canceled the thing from the balls. I didn't even realize that's a thing. No wonder why you're in such a low tier. You can cancel his balls exploding. Okay, balls, please explode. Thank you. So now we have our hammer. This does a really big AoE hit. You can also end up breaking your structures with this. So these are physical structures that are in the way of the area. However, you can end up hitting them and just breaking them and doing like a big explosion with it. Which is kind of cool. He has a bunch of other things, like a little shock ball and kind of stuff like that, which you can end up hitting with your hammer, boom, explode it, and kind of just destroy the structure. He's a really weird character. It's not awful, but I don't know, it just seems really weird playstyle overall. Definitely a lot of zoning tools, so if you like a zoner, he might be good. But aside from that, he seems kind of average, but he could be usable. Anyways, next up we got ourselves Yunobo. So as far as Yunobo, he has a food-based mechanic. So basically you want to go and eat a bunch of food and then you get a thingy. So right here, this is his 1 and 4, if I'm not mistaken. It tells you the prompt, what you need to do. So this one is just a single X, or you could do it for his 5 combo. This one you can do for, give me the other one, please. There we go. So this one you could do for 2 or 3. So it shows up there's 2 and there's 3, and we can end up doing that for a better effect. So basically you want to eat a food and then go and do the combo. So let's say we want a 5, we can just hold down ZR and go until we get to the light one. We can then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we get a gigantic ball at him, and then he's dead. And then boom, and then we just break him, and yeah, he's already dead. But yeah, he's okay. I wouldn't say he's necessarily RNG based, because I didn't actually realize in the past that you could actually hold it down and kind of cycle through his foods, but you still have to wait for that. And due to that, it just seems kind of clunky more often than not, that you have to wait out this entire duration just to be able to get a stronger combo. Overall, not a huge fan, and seems like a little bit of bad potential there. Like he has the capability. Like, this is a really strong thing. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the big laser thingy or cannon thing. But oh no, it just takes so much setup sometimes. Maybe with a little bit of a better attack speed too, you could be a little bit more consistent with it. But oh no, I'm just not a huge fan of the food mechanic. It's creative, but it's more clunky than anything more often than not, so yeah, that's basically Yunobo. Anyways, now we're getting into D tier. We're starting to get to territory where I'd probably avoid anything here forth. Yes, I know Daruk is there. I know some people like Daruk. I do feel like he's personally pretty bad, though. He has a bad stasis, and I don't know, his moveset just seems really weird as far as functionality. But anyways, let's go over D tier and F tier. So let's go bring him up. So as far as Daruk, yeah, a bit underwhelming. He has a lot of dash-related attacks and nothing else, so he can kind of like charge this big X, and he's actually really safe during this, so he can kind of do a bunch of damage. Most things can't really hit you through there, so that's kind of cool. He has that. His 5Y to X is not horrifically bad. Ends up creating these geyser things. You can then choose at a later time to go explode these geysers, like if more things are coming up, and then do that, and then smash and all that. But yeah, it doesn't really have too many options. If I'm not mistaken, you can't cancel out of his stasis, which anything that you can't cancel out of is just awful. But yeah, that's not cancelable. That is very unfortunate. It does create a magma thing, if nothing else there. But I don't know, I don't really feel like his magma mechanics really like use that much. His best option, oddly enough, is probably against Guardians. 1, 2, 3, 4 to X, I believe it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. He does a little spinny ball, and that actually stun locks Guardians pretty effectively, especially if you're only up against one. He actually has a mission where you need that later in the game, where it ends up working out pretty well. But overall, just, I don't know, personally consider him to be pretty underwhelming. Anyways, let's go into the other really underwhelming one. So that is Hestu. Hestu is very weird as far as the moveset. He has his little maracas. Oddly enough, Hestu has like one of the best weapons in the game as far as like perk wise, because it has damage per 100 KOs into another diamond, meaning you can actually go into 4 squares. So it can go into a 4 attack speed plus and then go into a double diamond, with one of those being damage per 100 KOs. This weapon on like literally any other character in the game would be like the most broken thing ever. However, the character is so weak that you can't really do much. So you can kind of summon these little Korok things, and they kind of help you. So if you click X here, it'll kind of like make a little barrage thing, and it'll kind of help us. And I don't know, he has a bunch of like little wavy things. He has a lot of dashes, oddly enough, or like whatever these things are. And then he does like a little extra thing at the end. It does a little bit more damage. It's a really weird moveset. I personally don't understand it. I think it's deliberately supposed to be bad. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure if I'm missing something or if it's just really that bad. I'm pretty sure it is just that bad. Because he has like a perfect weapon, and it still feels like he can't really get much value out of anything, which is, I don't know, rather unfortunate. But, yeah, I wouldn't really bother personally with the character. Anyways, last one. That one you definitely shouldn't worry about. And I'm not even going to bother bringing the tier list back up. You know who it is. Pretty sure all of you know who it is. It's the Great Fairy. So Great Fairies, it is a really big obvious flaw. And that is, she's too big. She is way too big. And she becomes smaller when you're in this area. You actually can't even do anything when you're like this too. So there's a lot of like small hallways. You can't even like act out of it. Her moveset actually isn't horrifically bad. Like if she had a normal sized hitbox, she probably wouldn't be horrible. So her 4Y to X does that little sucky thing, which is pretty decent. I believe you could even put smaller units in it. So if we could get like right on top of him, I think we could actually get him in. 1, 2, 3, 4, I think I overdid it. Oh no, I'm too close for the special. No, we're gonna break him. But I think you can get like the smaller units into it, so it doesn't really help too much though. And aside from that, she does have the ZR special thing, and whenever she does that one, it's actually pretty good as far as how much range it has and everything. She can get a couple different effects from that, though I do personally find the one that does, what's it called, to be the absolute best, like those little ones that go forward and attack. Seem to be her absolute strongest, that one right there, because it covers so much area and just kind of does it. I'm pretty sure those are completely random. I have not really seen anything that really cycles through these or anything, so it does appear to be random from what I can tell, which makes it even worse. But overall, just not really a character you'd bother using. It's just nuts. It's just too big of a hitbox to ever bother, which is rather unfortunate. But that is the Great Fairies. But anyways, that is pretty much the tier list. I'll go bring it up one last time. So that is every character on the tier list. Of course, we'll probably update this into the future, especially if more DLC characters drop for the game. But feel free to leave your comments below if you have any questions or any comments about the tier list or any other similar things. We will be covering plenty more guides on Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity going forward. So feel free to like, feel free to subscribe, feel free to share. It helps out a lot. And I will catch you guys later, hopefully in the next video. Goodbye, everyone, and thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Goodbye, everyone.